We return you now to a story we were reporting earlier. In the chaos of Cairo this week, one U.S.-based Egyptian journalist found herself under attack. Mona Eltahawy is on the line with us now from the Egyptian capital. Thanks so much for talking with us. Let me ask you, first of all, what happened to you and how are you now?
Well, right now I have my left arm is broken and my right hand is broken, and this is as a result of a brutal beating by the Egyptian riot police, who surrounded me. I was taking pictures and I was covering events on the front line between the confrontation between protesters and the police and the military. And a group of riot police surrounded me, about 5 of them, beat me, kind of rained their big sticks down upon my arms, and that's why they're broken, because I was trying to protect myself. And they also sexually assaulted me. I was groped all over my body. There was lost count of the number of hands that tried to get into my trousers. They dragged me to the Minister of the Interior with my hair, dragged me by the hair rather, called me all kinds of insults. And this all happened in about 7 or 8 minutes. And that was kind of the crescendo of it all. But then I ended up spending between 10 to 12 hours in detention, first by the Ministry of the Interior, and then second by military intelligence. So it was an awful night. But what happened to me is just a taste of what happens to so many Egyptians. The brutality of Egyptian security forces has long been documented, and I experienced just a bit of it. And I know that because I'm a journalist and because I'm Egyptian American and I have dual citizenship, and because they think I'm a quote unquote, kind of professional, respectable person, they probably gave me a lighter treatment. I know that had I been an Egyptian with fewer privileges, I would have fared much worse. So I agreed to come on because I want the world to know the brutality of the Egyptian police force, and I want the world to know that Egyptians who are in Tahrir Square, peacefully in Tahrir Square, want this revolution to succeed and refuse to allow the military, who's in charge of our country right now, to hijack it.
So many people have been mistreated that even Egypt's military authorities are now apologizing. In your case, was it clear why you were taken and mistreated? Is it because you're a journalist, because they consider you a foreigner, or simply because you were a woman?
I was just there. So they called me, but I think if I look back now, I was probably the only woman there on the front line at that particular time. Many women have been on the front lines, but that particular time of night, I think I was the only woman. And that might have played a role with it, which brings us into this whole new issue of the way that Egyptian security services have used sexual assault to try to intimidate women from street protests and from activism. And for years now, Egyptian women have bravely spoken out. I am just one of many. And so again, I'm taking this chance to shame them for what they did, because when I was being assaulted by those riot police officers, it was as if I was set on by a bunch of beasts. And this is not the Egypt that we love, and this is not what the revolution is about. The reason that we're having a revolution in this country is exactly against that kind of brutality, and they will not hijack our revolution.
Were these uniformed security forces?
These were uniformed riot police armed with huge sticks and with shields.
And did they explain to you why they were taking you, or why ultimately they released you?
Not at all. They didn't explain to me why they took me in, and then I spent 5 or 6 hours trying to get out of the Ministry of the Interior, and they claimed that they were keeping me because I didn't have my passport or ID with me, because I left it in Tahrir Square. I didn't want to lose it on the front line. And I told them, there's ways to find my ID. They kept dragging their feet. And then when I ended up at military intelligence, they kept dragging their feet until I refused to answer questions anymore, because I said, I'm a civilian, I should not have to be questioned. I will not be questioned by the military anymore. Finally, when they released me, the military apologized for the way the police treated me, and they said, we don't know why you're here. But I have a feeling that when they did find out who I was, because they didn't know who I was when they first detained me, but I think that when they looked through my files in the Interior Ministry building, and I have files there as a journalist, they found out my long history of anti-regime writing, and that was one of the reasons that they kept me. That's what I believe, but no one told me this. And then they released me.
Did you have any contact with other prisoners at the time? Did you have any sense of how other people who had been seized were being treated?
No, because I was the only person who was being held, who was being detained in an actual office of the Ministry of the Interior. And I don't know if I ended up there by chance. I don't know if I ended up there because a military officer who saw the way that they were groping and assaulting me, put me in that room basically to protect me. I have no idea, but that's not where they usually take prisoners. who they catch, on Mohammed Mahmoud or around the square. So I was the only person there. And the only reason that I was able to get word out, because I lost my phone when I was being beaten, was because an activist who had come to the ministry to discuss a truce to end the confrontation had a phone. And I asked him, and he got me onto Twitter, and I sent out a tweet to let everybody know that I was beaten and arrested.